All praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Basham Yahushai Basham Raka Kwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and salutations to all your sincere Akiam. And this is your brother Abawan back again with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Basham Yahushai Basham Raka Kwadash. All praises and glory is due. And I was thinking about slavery. I'll just say it straight up, slavery. That's captivity, right? The plantation. Let me use that term because you know how things are with YouTube nowadays. Some words might, trigger the algorithm, okay? And it might not be now, but in the future, you might see that Esau decides to ban some certain words and use those words in order to delete videos that were uploaded because this devil often does things like that. That's why every once in a while you might see that one of your videos got a strike out of nowhere. One of your old videos got a strike out of nowhere. YouTube will update its terms and services and starts combing, or even when you get up to a certain level of viewership, right? YouTube starts combing through your old content and start striking videos left and right. So but anyway, let's get right back into these videos. I was, contemplating on this because a lot of thoughts go through your mind, especially when you have this truth. I mean, you're thinking of doing a video and you watch multiple videos and see what different people are saying. Just looking at, just watching, praying, looking at the situation that is currently on the earth, looking at prophecy take place, and you have a lot of things rolling through your mind. And one of the things I've been contemplating on for a while is the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Right, let me make it as clear as possible. And what it is proof that slavery is still very much legal in America, Babylon the Great. Because whenever these scoffers want to come out, they'll say that, oh, well, you see, the Hebrew Israelites believe that all nations that aren't Israelites, right, Esau, Edom, and the rest of the nations are going into slavery. And they say that like it's a bad thing. Like what we believe is so taboo. But yet, those same scoffers, right, those same mockers and scorners, which the vast majority of them live in the US, live in a country in which slavery is legal, but you won't see vocab go to any courts in the US to protest the legal slavery that is even written in the Constitution. And this also shows you the evil, okay, of Esau Edom, because slavery was never illegalized, right? Slavery was never, it was never illegalized, it was never abolished, because Esau will come out and start crying about how, the Emancipation Proclamation, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. No, he did not. It was just a change of ownership from the private ownership of the slaves to the public one, because now, right, the elites of Esau Edom have begun to establish themselves, and they have begun and decided that rather than just keeping you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians in captivity, right, they would rather keep the whole earth, including the lower level Edomites as well, in captivity. And of course, the captivity now is still to this day the most brutal form of slavery that has ever existed. And of course it was, because this is the was the judgment of the Most High Yahweh Shami Shai against our people. And let's never forget that, okay? Because we talk about the transatlantic slavery and the horrors that went on that happened to our people during that. But let's not forget the reason why it happened. And let's not forget who actually brought it on. Right? Because I'll proudly say to you, Jakes, as well, because Jakes will be out there like, oh no, God, the most I couldn't have done that, the most I can't do evil, not my God, right? Well, I will proudly say that the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai was the one that put the chains on our people, put us in those slave ships and brought us into captivity using Esau Edom. After all, it's not written that the wicked, right, which is of course the Edomites, right, the so-called red man that is ruling over the earth today, is the sword of the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So let me start with this first. The deceived and the deceiver are his, okay? And I want to get that first because you know that Esau is the deceiver. So this is the book of Job 12, verse 16. With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. Right. So let's go to the next one, which is, for us to be delivered from the sword of the Most High, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, which is the wicked. So that shows you that even Esau, Edom, right? Even Esau is a tool in which the Most High, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai used in order to punish our people, right? The captivity that we served is a punishment for the wickedness that our people had done and the iniquity that our people have had committed against the Most High, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, by departing from the laws, the statutes, and the commandments of the Most High, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai. Psalm 17, verse 13. Arise, O Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Right, and the reason why I'm doing this video is not because of a reminder to remind us of our captivity, but rather to remind Esau of his own future captivity, and that is that you devils are soon going to be going into slavery as well. And that is what we teach and profess it loudly on the highways and byways, on the street corners every single day, right? Because brothers are out there day in and day out, and we always say the same thing, that you heathen and you Edomites in front of anybody's faces, not running away from it, not hiding from it like these Christians do. Because now somebody brings up the fact that slavery is in the scriptures. You see the Christians trying to sidestep it, trying to do anything they can in order to, you know, move away from that fact. But it is in the scriptures. And according to the scriptures, you devils are going into captivity as well. And let's get the book of Revelation 13, verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And you don't need too much extrapolation to know exactly who that prophecy is speaking of. And of course, as like I said, you don't need too much extrapolation. It's Esau Edom, right? No need to drag it out and wait for you to. This isn't Dora the Explorer. I'm not going to that. I'm not doing that out here. But that's right. You're all going into captivity, man. And like I was saying, the 13th Amendment, and it shows you the hypocrisy and the wickedness of Esau Edom, because while they'll sit up here and scream and claim and lie that, oh, they abolished slavery. They in fact did not. And oh, how could the Hebrew Israelites come out and say that the nations are going to slavery? That's preaching hate, right? That's quote unquote black supremacy. But of course, once again, they lied. So this is the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment explained, Section 1, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment. Oh, now let me see whether this is actually okay. Okay, going back to what I was saying, the 13th Amendment, right, which is one of the amendments to the Constitution of the United States. And the reason why these amendments had to be made is because, first and foremost, of course, Esau's law is lacking as hell, man. Esau's law is weak as hell. He makes a law and then he'll have to eventually repeal, right? Pass a bill to change, right? Amend, and, so many different things that Esau does in order to fix up his law, and it shows you just how lacking Esau is when it comes to things of legality and constructing law. And of course, you know that even to this day, man, Esau's law is still porous as hell because you have so many loopholes and so many different, barely legal activities that take place in Babylon the Great every single day. I don't even need to go too deep into that. Just look no further than the all the scandals that you see the rich and famous of America, Babylon the Great involved in, and the wickedness of Babylon the Great that is being pushed out into the world every single day. Mubasta was saying, the 13th Amendment, Section 1, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction, right? So basically, what happened was that slavery, as a private system, was illegalized, and all every form of slavery outside of as a penal system was illegalized. In other words, you can only practice slavery when you You can only practice slavery on incarcerated criminals or somebody that has been convicted of a crime. Now, Section 2, Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. And basically, that gives the United States government power to be able to put anybody that they want in the United States into slavery. And that's exactly what this law does. It took away slavery from the private institution that it was and basically converted it into a government and corporate institution. And the reason why I say government and corporate institution is because it is not only the United States Congress and by extension the United States government that has the power to enforce this 13th Amendment, but also private institutions as well, which excuse me, which leads us to this right here. And this is the a Wikipedia article going into the prison industrial complex. And I'm sure that you Joachim and all you listeners have probably heard of this term before, the prison industrial complex. And basically what it is this, it's an industry, it's an institution, but it is the system that Esau Edom set up in Babylon the Great, right? The penal system of Babylon the Great that basically turns prisoners into slaves, man. That's where that's why you get the term the prison industrial complex. That's why you have things like the school to prison pipeline, right? I think also railroading is a part of it. I've forgotten what that term railroading actually is going back to. But like I was saying, forget me mentioning the term railroading. Like I was saying, the school to prison pipeline, the over policing of Israelite neighborhoods, that is so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and also the over incarceration, right? The over not just over incarceration, Salakia, but the over arresting, right? That's the term I'm looking for. But yeah, I'll just say it like that. The over arresting of Israelites, specifically the southern kingdom, but also the northern kingdom as well, right? Because basically the idea is that you Jakes, okay, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians are the main targets for the prison industrial complex and incarceration into prison. And no marvel because as it was revealed, right, that the modern police force is based off the I think they call them the party rulers, basically slave catchers. Let me see if I can get that. Well, that's what the modern police force is based off of. So yeah, that's it right there. The slave patrol, right? The slave catchers. That's the reason why, and it just shows you that these things they don't really go away. These institutions they don't really go away. That slavery was never abolished. It was just repackaged as incarceration, conviction, right? And it's still you Israelites that are the main targets of it for the most part. That's why the prison population is, even though you are like Esau likes to always say, even though the stake is 13% of the population, right? They are overrepresented in prisons all across the United States. That's because those prisons were set up for you Israelites, right? The police force was set up to pick up and imprison you Israelites because they are based off, right, and it's just the same as those slave catchers. That's why you have so many of these white supremacist groups in government, in all these police, in police, right, in government positions as judges and so on and so forth. KKK members, right, and different other forms of these white supremacist groups. And this is something that is no longer even a secret anymore. Everybody knows about it. I was recently watching a video where Arnold Schwarzenegger was even going into that. Like I was talking about how now you have all these neo Nazis, right? You have all these white supremacist groups that are invaded the governments and that are basically, all siding and trying to vote Trump in. That shows you just how wicked Babylon the Great is, right? Because I thought we were all God's children. And this is me, jumping on the Christians again. What's up, vocab? Aren't you all God's children? Where's the smoke? And this is the thing that, shows you once again Esau being the devil. Because Esau will target, the Hebrew Israelites. he will target Jake mainly, right, and leave Edomites scot free. And then you find out that the real terrorists are the Edomites. It's the KKK that's out here blowing up places. That are out here blowing up restaurants, blowing up churches, blowing up this and that. All these white supremacist groups that are committing terrorist acts, putting Jakes to death, putting even Edomites to death. But the Hebrew Israelites are just out there on the highways and byways, just preaching the gospel. But yet, where are the hate group? When actual hate groups are moving around, but of course, because they are because they are Edomite supremacist hate groups, right? They don't get the level of attention Jake does, because the Hebrew Israelites are the biggest threat to Esau Edom's kingdom. It's just a straight up fact, right? By simply just like the Tower of Jericho's, by when the children of the Mosai Yahweh Hashem Yahushai are praising the Mosai Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, this kingdom is going to fall as a result of that. So this is the Wikipedia article going into the slave patrol. Not really going to go to the just going to get it straight up. Slave patrols, also known as patrollers, pata rollers, party rollers, or paddy rollers, were organized groups of armed men who monitored and enforced discipline upon slaves in the antebellum US southern states. The slave patrol's function was to police slaves, especially those who escaped or were viewed as defiant. They also formed river patrols to prevent escape by boats. Right. And these empathy rulers, right, eventually evolved into the modern day US police force, which is why once again you see the high incarceration rates, you see the high arrest rates, you see the high conviction rates of Jake into Esau Edom's penal system, which leads us back to the prison industrial complex. So, the prison industrial complex, PIC, is a term coined after the military industrial complex of the 1950s, used by scholars and activists to describe the many relationships between institutions of imprisonment, such as prisons, jails, detention facilities, and psychiatric hospitals, and the various businesses that benefit from them. And of course, you have some charts here, and this is the charts going into the correctional population, right? Those on probation, prison, and jail, and how it rises over the years. But let's continue with the article. The term is most often used in the context of contemporary United States, where the expansion of the U.S. inmate population has resulted in economic profits and political influence for private prisons and other companies that supply goods and services to government prison agencies. According to the concept, incarceration not only upholds the justice system but also subsidizes construction companies, companies that operate prison food services and medical facilities, surveillance and correction technologies vendors, corporations that contract cheap prison labor, correctional office unions, private probation companies, criminal lawyers, and the lobby groups that represent them. So basically, they just mentioned everybody that is getting a bag from the US prison system, right? Because that's really all the United States prison system is, right? It's a money laundering scheme. Let me not say money laundering scheme. It's a extortion scheme. That's the proper term to use, right? All these court cases and all these court dates. That's why somebody will have a trial in Babylon the Great, and it will take 3 years just to complete the trial. How many years has Young Thug been going? How many years has Young Thug been on trial? And didn't they just declare him not guilty a couple of days or weeks ago? Young Thug the rapper. And how many years was he on trial for over the Rico crimes that they put on him? Which is once again another example of, right, the over policing of Jake. Let's see. Continuing on. The term also refers more generally to interest groups who, in their interactions with the prison system, prioritize financial gain over rehabilitating criminals. Right. So, right. So this shows you right here that hey, the prison system is basically, not even basically, it's full blown slavery, man. Because they have those prisoners working in these private prisons, working in different industries. They are building, working in construction, right? Working in tech, building roads, working in all these companies, all these factories, right? Especially in these small towns, because I was watching one of these videos that was going into how a lot of the private prisons are in these small towns in the middle of nowhere. These small towns, especially in the south, in the middle of nowhere, where the inmates, which are predominantly Jakes, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, are basically working for nothing, right? For you know crumbs, basically working slave labor and slave wages, which is exactly what they are doing, right? But yet nobody ever calls this out. Nobody ever calls out the fact that there's not even going to, there's not even going to, the ignorance of scoffers when they speak on things like this. But nobody ever calls out the fact that the US is basically still allowing a legal form of slavery in the form of this prison industrial complex and the United States penal system, right? But these scoffers never go into that fact. When they hear the men of the Lord say, rightfully so, because that is what the scriptures say, that you heathen, you Edomites are going into captivity. They never ever address the fact that slavery is still very much legal in the United States of America. So this is the book of Psalms 2, verse 8, and it reads, Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, thou shalt dash them in pieces like the potter's vessel. Right. And basically, you get the idea, right? That the nations are going into slavery under our Lord Yahushai and under the elect of the nation of Israel and under the Israelites. At the return of our Lord Yahushua, of course, that isn't going to start happening right now. Okay. But the point being is this: Esau is the devil, Esau is a hypocrite, Esau is a liar. Okay. And while he continues to promote these false narratives in his kingdom, the truth will still be brought out and the truth will be used to break down all the falsities that he's pushing out, especially all these falsities that he's pushing out, even though he sends out his scoffers and he sends out his goon squad in order to try to basically come against this truth, right? To try to disrupt the building of this truth. But this is not a temple made with hands as it's written. So with that, I'll end the video right there. Once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Basham Yahushai Basham Rakakwadash. Wa abad baba. Shalom. Now through the spirit, I'll be Akama, you are quite edified. Shalom.